Hey everybody, and good evening, and tonight let's talk about the iFi Audio Zen Phono 3. Well, of course, before we get to the review, I did want to make it clear that I did receive this product from iFi Audio. You know, I've had a great relationship with iFi Audio over the last, well, heck, it's been about, 5 or 6 years at this point, and I've been quite lucky with that. You know, when I used to have my old channel, they got in touch with me and, started sending me products, and of course, that relationship continued on my new channel, and I'm quite happy with it because they've always valued my opinion. They've also never strangled me with the idea of, okay, well, it has to be a positive review, and a lot of their products I've reviewed have been positive, but not all. But anyway, let us take and get to the review of the iFi Zen Phono 3. Let's look around the unit. Of course, on the front, you've got your main power switch. I'm going to do this a little differently. You got your main power switch. You've got sort of a display that lights up that basically tells you what state you have it in, whether or not you have it a moving magnet, moving coil, very low moving coil. Of course, that's selectable here with various loading options. Of course, you've got a subsonic filter. Around back, you've got your gain setting. One of the nice things I like about this is MM and MC high offer the same resistance loading characteristics. But the nice thing about that is if you set it on MC high, you get a higher gain setting over the standard MM. Now, I've noticed a trend here lately with a lot of phono stages of having their moving magnet setting in the case of something that has, multiple settings for different cartridges, but having their moving magnet setting be a lower gain than what you would normally find, 36, 37, 38 dB of gain, versus like a lot of what I've seen historically moving magnet phono stages having 40 or 42 decibels of gain. In my opinion, they're doing this to increase the noise figures because lower gain has a lower noise floor, lower noise, which means they can put on the box that, oh my God, it's 151 decibels of silent, super silent noise floor. But when you have that low of gain, 36 decibels, it means you've got to turn your amp up. Every time you turn to the phono input, you've got to turn your amp up way higher than any other source component that you have hooked to it. It's absolutely ridiculous, and they're just doing it to increase their figures. Of course, I'm not saying that iFi is doing that. But in any case, they do have the MC high gain setting, which is number 2 here, which does bump it up, I think, to 44 or 46 decibels of gain. Of course, you've got output. You do have a balanced output, which is kind of cool. Of course, I didn't use that, however. Of course, input and your power. In the box, pretty standard stuff, right? You've got, an included power supply. It's modeled after the iPower X, but it's definitely not the iPower X. And of course, you've got an included 10-inch or foot-long, roughly speaking, RCA cable. But yeah, let's get to the pros. Well, of course, let's talk about the pros. And, of course, the first pro is obviously build quality. I like iFi Audio products. I think when we get to the Zen series, you get this outer metal body, and it's just, it feels solid. It is solid. You feel like this is a product that's going to last you for years to come, that type of thing. And then, of course, the second pro is obviously going to be sound quality. It does sound good. That said, I am finding it increasingly difficult to talk about sound quality in a relative way, in a relevant way. And the only reason being is I find that the more time goes on and I mention things like bass, treble, mid-range, these sorts of aspects of sound quality and sound staging and and all this kind of stuff, I can't help but get the sensation that I feel like my language regarding these things and subsequently my thinking comes across as highly scripted. And it comes across as very formulaic. When in truth, this thing sounds great. It sounds good. I don't know how to say it other than that. Okay, it sounds very balanced. You don't feel like anything is lacking, although you don't feel like anything really jumps out at you either, other than the aspect of the noise. This thing does have quite a lot of low noise floor characteristics, and it makes for a better sound quality as a result. You feel like all the information from your record is coming through as opposed to noise in the Phono preamp. And of course, when we have a high noise floor in a Phono stage, you can kind of hear that, especially in the quiet parts of music off of a record. But yeah, I apologize. That's all I'm going to really say about sound quality. Other than that, it is exceptional, and it does compete at its price range, I think, with other Phono preamps I've heard around this kind of pricing. So yeah, anyway, let's talk about the cons. And there's only one con, and that's something I've already mentioned. Of course, the Phono input is when you have it in that setting, the gain on that thing is low. It is noticeably low. Particularly, I've been using this primarily with my Fluence RT80, which has the AT91 on it, conical stylus. And that thing kind of has a lower output. It has 3.5 millivolts as opposed to kind of more of a standard, what you see of 5 or 6 millivolts of output, which means that thing has low output and this thing has low gain, which means that I'm having to turn any amplifier I hook this up to way up just to get, the same level of sound pressure that I would get out of my CD player or this thing or that thing or whatever. Technically speaking, I listen to a lot of TV audio through my system as well, but I'm having to turn the amp way up when I switch to the turntable, which of course increases noise. Increases noise from the amplifier. So whatever advantage of noise floor here that you're achieving, you're shooting it in the foot by having to turn your amp up higher. You see what I mean? So yeah, that's really my only con with this thing. But apart from that, I absolutely like the iFi Audio Zen Phono 3. I keep wanting to say Zen, iZen or something. But yeah, I mean, it sounds great. It works well. I've had no hiccups with it. And I won't say it's right up there with the best Phono stages I've heard. The best Phono stage I probably heard was the KC Vibe from Sutherland. Sutherland Engineering, I think, is what it is. They build them all in Kansas City, which is what the KC comes from. That thing was so pure of tone and sound. It kind of had sort of a bright-ish sound, but but it was so pure sounding that it was almost ridiculous. But that's probably the best Phono stage I've ever heard, personally. But yeah, I mean, at its price point, at it is what it is, I would definitely go with this. It's got a lot of range of settings. It has a higher gain setting for the moving magnet setting. Has a subsonic filter, which not every Phono stage does. I didn't mention that, but it works well. I don't notice any detractors from that. If you have a situation where you're having a bunch of resonance go into your turntable through either your setup or your environment, the subsonic filter works quite well without any noticeable degradation to the sound quality. Of course, a lot of different loading and capacitance settings. And yeah, I mean, I didn't use it with moving coil because I don't have any moving coil cartridges, but I assume as good as the performance was with the moving magnet, you can expect a similar level of darn good performance with the moving coil. And final thought kind of thing, I would rather have this than the shit Manny 2. And of course this is a little more expensive, but I like the front panel controls. The Manny 2's got everything around back. You got to fiddle with switches and dips. I hate screw dip. I do not want a Phono stage with dip switches anymore. I will not buy one. I will, I won't even consider one. I want to just be able to press buttons or sometimes even have a remote. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, that is it for now. Stay tuned. I've got other videos coming up soon. So yeah, peace out.